After the new patch hype has settled a bit, you might be finding yourself logging into Final Fantasy XIV with a less than clear idea of what you could be doing in-game until the next update. In this video, I'm going over all the new things you may or may not have known about that might help you pick your next thing to go towards. My name is Ivona from momsden.com, and if this is your first time around here, subbing is a good idea. I make simple FF14 guides that'll answer some of your questions in no time and give you some quick in-game wins. I also live stream on this channel quite a bit, so if you're a fan of simple guides, awesome communities, in-game and other highlights, I'll see you around. If you're still new to the 6.1 patch, finishing up the 6.1 MSQ is definitely worth your time and effort, as you'll not only be progressing through the story, but will gain access to the new endgame dungeon, the Alzadal's Legacy, which is a lot of fun. In case you haven't done the new Alliance raid, Aglaia is there waiting for you to unlock a terrific story and bosses that will take your breath away. The story was, to me at least, better and more engaging than any of the other intros for the Alliance raids, and is worth going through even if you're not interested in the weekly lockouts. For anyone on the more high end, the new Extreme Trial is there to sink hours into, especially if you're after the 595 eye level weapon and the Lynx mount. Even though the fight is long and quite challenging, you'll get 2 tokens per clear, requiring you to only kill Lensinger 50 times if you're after the mount and are unlucky enough to not have it drop to you, so it'll definitely take a while to complete this. Speaking of high end, and you'll excuse me, but I absolutely have no footage of this as we speak, is the new Ultimate raid, the Dragon Song Surprise. If you're that kind of player, I'm assuming you already know everything that might be in this video and more, but as it's new content, I can't not bring it up. The new ultimate weapons look glorious, and in case you're looking for a nerve-wracking activity that'll burn weeks and weeks of your time, well, all I can say is good luck to you. The new Unreal Trial, Ultima's Bane, is another cool weekly lockout type thing you can do. The fight itself isn't long and is definitely easier than the current Extreme Trials, but it might take some time to learn or relearn the strats to beat Ultima. If you're after those badass mounts, including the Troll mount introduced in 6.1, this is something you should be focusing on. If you're up for challenging content that isn't breaking your kneecaps but still keeps you on your toes, the Pandemonium Savage is still active endgame content. And if you've never done Savage before or are looking to get into it, there's no time like the present. Having recently started on my Savage journey, I'm honestly starting to wonder why it took me so long to get rid of the party finder anxiety, as the content is fun and definitely not as hard as people make it sound, especially now that a lot of people are overgeared for it. If you're after the true endgame content, trying to get yourself an Imperium house might be the thing for you to do. Regardless of all the housing issues at the beginning of the patch, getting yourself a house in Ishgard is a very prestigious thing to do these days, so be ready to do some gold grinding if you need to, because the new lottery cycle opens up on May 26th. Presentation is 50% of how good of a player you are, right? Well, in case you truly want to be considered a great player, having a carefully crafted adventure plate is something you may want to focus on. Apart from all the customization options you already have, you could be going after the other frames, mostly through PvP series leveling and Wolf's Den benders, if that's something you're into. Crystalline Conflict is a rabbit hole that's very hard to get yourself out of once you get hooked, and it's so easy to forget about everything else you should be doing once you get yourself into it. If you haven't tried the new PvP mode yet, you should definitely consider it, especially if you'd like to reap all those Garo event rewards, as the event is still active. And in case you're new to it, there's a guide in the description that'll get you started on it in no time. The Unending Codex is an underrated feature of this patch, but if you're a lore geek, it's such a cool thing to go through. As you're unlocking the story, make sure to check it out from time to time, as bits of lore about the characters you meet will become available in your codex that you can access anytime. If you're a collector, I'm going to go ahead and assume you're already doing most of the new content to get those cool new mounts, minions, armor and whatnot. But in case you're not familiar with everything you can obtain in a new patch, I've made a series of videos that go over every new available collectible in the 6.1, and you can find a playlist with all those guides in the description of this video. Giving up on the MSQ roulette used to be understandable considering the amount of time you needed to complete it, but not anymore, as the duty roulette for it has been reworked, yielding massive experience for way less time required to complete it. If you're still skeptical about it, but have unfinished business with leveling your old job, drops. Maybe it's time to give it a go again and put yourself back on the road of speed leveling. Dream fitting is something you can also do if you're finding yourself craving for new outfits from the Mog Station. You can now try on everything that's available in this store, without having to guess how a piece of armor will look on your cat girl based on a random picture of a Rogadin wearing it over at the website. If you feel like reliving your Endwalker MSQ moments, and I can't blame you if you do, even with all the emotional trauma available and ready to be reconsumed, you can now do that through New Game Plus. Editing my MSQ footage has in a way gotten me through the story twice, but I wish I had the time these days to run through it again. If you do have that kind of time, knock yourself out. If you've been doing your Endwalker role quests, you can now enjoy the conclusion of the story through the Master Role quest that wraps them up quite wonderfully. If this is something that you feel requires too much time and effort to complete, you can watch the full playthrough of the Master Role questline here on the channel. The link is in the description. There are things that aren't available to us just yet, but are planned for some of the mini patches in the near future. Tatar's Grand Endeavor storyline, Omega Beyond the Rift quests, more Hildebrand adventures, Arkasodara tribal quests, Emilien's custom deliveries, as well as data center travel are going to be available soon. So keep it in mind if you're looking to come back to the game or looking for the reason to stay subbed for the next couple of months. Some additional things that have made it to my to-do list but have been around forever include things like daily and weekly hunts, leveling squadrons, completing the weekly Wanderer's Tale, centering Gold Saucer tournaments, doing the free company workshop stuff, doing fashion reports and Jumbo Cat Pod, crafting for the daily Grand Company turn-ins, gathering, working on the Blue Mage encounters and spell collecting, Palace of the Dead grinds, gardening, treasure maps, job and side quests, relic grinds, retainers, and so much more. I'm pretty sure you know and or do most of this already, but if you're a new or returning player, it might serve as a good reminder of what else is around to spend time on. And that's all I've got for you today. Like I said, you probably know most of these things by now, but if you're looking for some inspiration on what to do, I'm sure you've been reminded of at least one thing that got you excited. If you have any other suggestions on what to do in game these days, drop them in the comments, and if you haven't subbed to the channel yet, now is a good time to do so. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so here as a YouTube channel member or over on Patreon. And if this guide was useful to you and you'd like to leave a tip, you can do so through YouTube Thanks just under this video. Thanks to everyone who's keeping the lights on, especially our alphas like Kathy Spear on YouTube memberships, as well as Andyman and Elijah Baker over on Patreon. Alright, I'll see you in the next video. Have fun, good luck, and bye bye.